Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Cones with CourthouseDirect.com. I'm glad you could join us this morning. We're going to be talking about Lease Alert and Lease Check. And for a lot of you, this is kind of a review. We've had these products on the market for quite a while, but there may be some resources or ways that you can use Lease Alert and Lease Check that maybe you haven't been using. So we want to review Lease Check and Lease Alert. So first thing I want to point out is where to find Lease Check and Lease Alert on the website. You can choose the drop-down menu under oil and gas, or if you look along the left-hand side, you'll see a couple of buttons there for the Lease Check and the Lease Alert. There is a video that accompanies the Lease Check and Lease Alert, and if you notice on the left-hand side, you can click on those and listen to a short video on these different tools. Just to point out, the Lease Alert is what we call a real-time monitoring of any new oil and gas documents that are filed in the county clerk's office. And when we say real time, essentially what we're doing is we're acquiring the data from the counties, and as quickly as we get the data, we do publish any oil and gas related documents. So as you see below, these are oil and gas leases, memorandums of leases, ratifications, royalty deeds, unit designations, mineral deeds, anything that is associated with oil and gas, we do publish that as part of the Lease Alert. And it's not just leases themselves. So, and when we publish these, we may or may not have the images attached initially. What's most important to us is to get the information out there to the landman and to the brokers so that they know whether or not the area that they're working in, whether or not the leases have already been taken in that area. So there are some features to Lease Alert that I want to point out to you. One is that when you look at the Lease Alert, you can look at the actual documents immediately in the Lease Alert. And you're able to select several counties throughout the state of Texas. So if you have different crews working in different areas, or you have a mineral interest ownership in different areas, then you can monitor those counties all over the state. You can add or take off counties anytime you want. And so you receive these Lease Alert emails. Typically, you'll receive maybe 2 or 3 emails a week, even if you're signed up on all the counties that we have online, and we do have over 90 counties online. So for instance, this is a sign-up sheet, and what if you look at the information we're asking for, we're wanting to know whether you're a broker or a company landman or perhaps a geologist, and you might kind of look at those categories and say, well, why would a geologist want to know whether or not there's leases in the area? Well, if a geologist has some good geology they're trying to sell, and then all of a sudden they see activity in the area where they've got this geology, then certainly they want to reach out to their landman and say, look like there's some activity in our area, and or so-and-so is leasing out there. So I think each of these different categories or industries, each of them have a reason that they want access to the information. So initially, we ask you to pick one county that you would like to get the lease alerts in, and when you do that, you're taken to the next screen that asks you what other counties are you interested in. So if you were to select the select all button, then it would check everything below. You also notice down below it says optional, type any additional counties you may be interested in. We're always acquiring data, and as we acquire that data, we want to put more counties online. And if we see that we have landmen that are asking for a certain county, then we're going to make a special effort to make sure that data goes online, perhaps behind another county. So this is the actual lease alert that email that you might receive. And if you notice that there's several different counties on here, Andrews County, very active, Oil and Gas County, Howard County, very active. There's a few counties on here you see like Galveston County or even Tarrant County, where maybe there's not as much oil and gas activity right now in Tarrant County. But what we're doing is we're sorting out all the memorandums, all the leases, and anything that we categorize as a lease. So in some cases, you might look in Harris County and there might be 5 documents filed that day. Well, none of them may be oil and gas leases. Maybe they're leases for a cell tower site or a lease between a property owner. So just keep that in mind. You may pull some information in a county that's not relative to an oil and gas lease. But let's say, for instance, all of a sudden the county gets hot out there and there's 50 oil and gas leases filed in a particular county, well, you might want to know about that. So again, you may not have activity today, but we know in Texas, those things can change. So if you were to select all the counties, and again, I select all the counties, and I will get probably 2 or 3 emails a week, but you're not bombarded with emails by any means. We want to make sure that. And this is the actual, when you get the lease alert back, this is the kind of information that we're sorting out that we've highlighted here. Again, the amendments to the oil and gas leases, mineral deeds, memorandums of leases. So anything that we deem that has anything to do with oil and gas, we're going to put it in there. And if you click on the view image button on the left-hand side, then you're able to actually view the document image. So, and again, it's a lot of different kind of documents that you can view, whether it's the pooling agreement or a ratification or a memorandum, whatever they might be, you're able to do all that. And of course, the amazing thing is that we provide all of this free, right? So we're providing the ability to sign up on the lease alert, receive the lease alerts in the counties that you're interested in. And the reason that we're doing that was we think that you might want to take the next step, which is to actually do a lease check. So the lease check, once you know there's activity in the area that you're working in, then you may say, well, I need to really do a lease check either on these on this company name or these individuals, or I need to run a lease check in an area that has some oil and gas activity. Now, a traditional lease check, of course, would be where you would go into the county and you would find the current property owner, then you would build a chain of title back on the property, and you look for a mineral reservation, or you'd look for a mineral deed or something to split out those mineral interests. Well, this is kind of a quick snapshot lease check. What's going on in Anderson County in this particular survey or this particular abstract? So let's look at, in this case, we are choosing Anderson County. We want to put in a party name, and the party name we're putting in is Mary Smith. So you can see with Mary Smith, we're only looking at the activity with Mary Smith that has oil and gas activity. And again, you can see the different things under her name in Anderson County. You can also see there's only 8 records at display when I put in Mary Smith, but if I just put in Smith by itself, of course, there have been many more. Now, looking at Mary Smith, we see there's activity in this Kimbrough survey. And so when we look at the William Kimbrough, we know that Kimbrough sometimes could be indexed a little bit differently. Maybe William could be abbreviated as WM or something like that. So what we've done on the legal search is allow you to put in a survey name. In this case, we're just putting in Kimbrough and say, go find everything with Kimbrough that falls within this legal description column. So again, you can see where it's picking up anything, any variation where Kimbrough is in the name. We also give you the ability to put in an abstract number. So you kind of need to know how the abstracts are set up in the county. In this county, they're set up as just A-34, but you may work in a different county where the way that the abstract numbers are set up in that county might be A-0034. So just keep in mind that the way that you would enter the abstract number is going to be particular to that particular county. So you can see when I put in the abstract 34, then it's picking up all of the, wherever 34 or abstract 34 shows up in the page. The next thing that we might want to be looking for is an acreage amount. So if I say, I know what I'm working on is a 43.2 acre tract, then I can put that in, and anywhere that we find 43.2 in the legal description, it would pick it up. Now, it would also pick up a 143.2 acre tract too. But again, what you're able to do is just put in the 43.2 and then look at all those things. And if you saw 143, you might disregard that. So, and then we know that when you're in West Texas versus East Texas or other parts of the state, the way that you're searching your legal descriptions are a bit different. And typically you're searching by the survey section and the survey block if you're in West Texas. So in this case, I put in the survey lot, the survey block, and you can see these records actually go back to 1915. So, and you can see where the highlights are taking place here in these columns. So essentially this is Reeves County going all the way back. I can put in again, the survey in the section and very quickly be able to bring up activity that goes all the way back. And of course, if I go to the last record, I'll see that our through date on this particular title plan is 9/1 of 2017. So now that's our ability to search by the geographic index. And while I have you here, I just wanted to point out there are a couple of other tools that we have for oil and gas landmen, and I just want to make sure you know about these, and I'm only going to spend just a minute or two on this. But we do provide title plants statewide, which we call our geo-index title plants. We own Integrity Title, which we provide and build title plants for title insurance companies. But if we're providing a title plant for a non-insurance company like an oil and gas company or an abstract company that's not doing insurance, then they access this through what we call our geo-index title plant. So if I log into the title plant or go to the title plant, you can see below there's a list of currently available counties there. And then when I log in, then this would be the screen that I would see when I log in. So, and essentially, what we're able to do is pick the county that we're interested in searching. So we have a list of all the counties, and you can see it's a pretty extensive list of all the counties where we have these title plants. You might notice down at the bottom, we actually have some title plants in New Mexico and are building some in some more oil and gas counties. In this particular case, you know, I chose Reeves County to look at activity in Reeves County. And so then I want to do a search in Reeves County. Well, what I want to search is survey section 22 and then block number 54. So when I search that and it pulls the records back, you'll notice that it's displaying 355 total records. And so since we're displaying 100 records to a page, then we're only showing those 100 records. But you do have the ability on this website to be able to display up to 500 records on a page. Now, when I say that, if you know anybody that's on the phone here that's a serious researcher knows that if you're able to display 500 records on a page, that's very powerful because you're able to essentially, in some cases, have your entire chain of title on 1 or 2 pages. And to be able to just scroll through that many records at a time, to me is pretty amazing. And then the other thing I want to point out that you may or may not use, and I just want to make sure that you're kind of reminding yourself of this, is that when you use that Control F button, it's a Control Find button, anything on the page. So if I'm displaying, in this case, 355 records on a page, and what I'm looking for is the name Wilson on the page, then I hit my Control F button, pops open the Control Find on my browser. It's essentially using your browser function. And then you put in Wilson and say, go find everything with Wilson, and you can see it highlights it on the page. So essentially what we're doing in the title plant is we're building a run sheet. And then what the landmen really like is this ability to be able to drop that run sheet into an Excel spreadsheet. So once you have it into an Excel spreadsheet, then you notice on the right-hand side that you have hyperlinks to all the documents themselves. So, and again, once you have it in Excel, then you can make whatever comments you want to make, and essentially, you know, have a really good tool to be able to essentially deliver to the customer. So, of course, the other resources that we have that are tremendous for the oil and gas side is that we go into the counties and we scan all the handwritten grantor-grantee indexes back to sovereignty. These are just 2 counties that I'm displaying here, but you notice that not only do we scan the grantor-grantees, but any other indexes that are available from the clerk. And in this case, in Reeves County, they have oil and gas indexes and mineral lease record indexes. And so they have quite a variety, more than we like sometimes as landmen. And then in Glasscock County, you can see all the different indexes types, and then wherever something is labeled as deeds, and essentially those are the actual document images themselves, even though they may be oil and gas records. We just, as a way to categorize those, we just call them deeds. And so, you know, we have these over 70 counties that we have title plants in, and these are just kind of highlighting a lot of our oil and gas counties. And we do have a special pricing for oil and gas landmen. It's not something we advertise. So if you are interested in access to the Geo Index for your landmen that are in the field, then I would encourage you to call customer service at the 713-683-4050 number. And Zach White is our customer service manager. Again, that's Zach White, and he could answer any questions, and certainly we'd be more than happy to give you a demo. And then the other tool that we have that we've built or provide is what we call a landman starter. And essentially, if you don't want to subscribe to the title plant, but you know that you need certain run sheets out of the title plant that would help your landmen be more effective while they're doing their searching, then we provide this product that we call a landman starter. So we go in, put in the section block or the survey or wherever, depending on the county that we're working in, and then we build a run sheet, and this is prepared by an oil and gas landman, but we build a run sheet and then we attach all the documents to the run sheet as you see on the right-hand side. So essentially we hand that to the landman, and when he starts doing his grantor-grantee searches, then essentially he's already got, I would venture to say, probably 80–90% of what he needs, but and then he can just fill in the slots, particularly since this is on an Excel spreadsheet. So so again, the landman starter, if you are interested in that, our land manager is a gentleman by the name of Dwight Dunlap, and his email address is just land@courthousedirect.com, and his phone number is extension 4054. And so let's go ahead and do a couple of actual searches. And but first, let's look at a lease alert. So this is my lease alert that came in this morning. And if you notice that in Reeves County, we've got 324 documents filed in Reeves County since our last lease alert. And I believe in Reeves County, we're getting we're getting our data weekly, at the very least bi-weekly, but I'm pretty darn sure it's weekly. So, I mean, you look at that kind of activity in Reeves County, that's tremendous. So this is the lease alert itself for Reeves County for this particular day. And so you can see how we're displaying the grantors, the grantees, the document types, and then of course the file date, the execution date, and then the legal descriptions on the property. Again, if you were using that control find button like I was saying before, and I hit the control F, and then I type in Apache, then you can see how it's highlighting Apache anywhere on the page itself. So it's just a good resource. And if you notice, actually on the right-hand side, very right-hand side, that there's actually these little bars that show you where there's more activity on the page with that particular name. So again, the ability to be able to pull up and look at these records and kind of look for something specific that may have been filed on within the last week or two is a good resource. And then if I want to view these particular oil and gas leases, then again, along the left-hand side, I've just got a view image button. So I click on that, and then it will actually download the image, and then I'm actually viewing the image on the screen. So this happens to be an oil and gas lease with the state of Texas, but again, you can just go through any document you're interested in or wanting to read, or read the meets and bounds on, and you have the ability to do that right here from the lease alert. We are talking to some other companies too about what you might call an enhanced lease alert, where if people want to map out a particular property, then they'll let us know that, and we're going to be able to provide that in some kind of a GIS platform. Again, that's kind of in the work still, but you can kind of see this is kind of our phase one of what we want to provide for the landman. So now, again, the reason that we provide so much of this information free is that we want people to actually do either a grantor or grantee search or do a lease check. So in this case, let's say I want to do a lease check, and I'm in Reeves County, and I know that the area that I'm wanting to search is section number 36, and then block number 6. So again, I'm only interested in oil and gas records, so I'm going to say go find everything in section 36, block 6, and you can see all the activity on the screen here. 141 records. Again, we're displaying 100 records to a page, so you want to make sure you do flip to that second page, and you can see these records go all the way back to 1916. And again, as we're going through here, we are displaying the different kind of doc types here. Again, we're limiting this just to the oil and gas records, but if I go down to the bottom here and I want to turn to the second page, I simply do that, knowing full well that I'm going to have 41 more records that I want to view on this page. And so, and then if I wanted to run let's say a name in the county, then I could just go in here and say, well, the name I'm looking for, I want to do a new lease check. In this case, I'm not interested in a survey name or a section or block. I would just want to put in a party name. And in this case, I'm looking for someone by the name of Moore, and I'm just going to put in J Moore and say find any activity with the name J Moore. And so again, it's looking for any kind of oil and gas related activity with that particular name. So again, if you're an investor or a lease or a mineral owner, then you want to know what activity is going on around you. Not a better tool out there to be able to just do kind of a quick lease check for maybe an oil company that's doing a lot of leasing in the area. So so again, let's take another look at a different county now. Just we've kind of looked at West Texas, but let's go to, let's say, Burleson County, Texas. So we have a legal description where we want to run, maybe we'll just run that Moore name again. So we're just going to run Moore and then J and just say go find it. Well, that's not going to work because you notice I was putting the name in the legal description area, and I don't want to do that. So again, I want to run the name, J Moore, find every kind of activity with J Moore, and fairly active name here. Again, I can flip through these pages, but let's say, for instance, I know that that the property I'm looking for is out of the chance survey. So I'm just going to say new lease, forget about Moore. I'm going to put in the CHANC, go find everything with the chance survey that's out of this Burleson area, and go find all those records. So again, you'll see where it's finding the word chance anywhere in that free-form legal column. And then once I have this, a lot of times I can just go to the last records that are on the page. So if I go to page 5 here of this 419 records, if I want to look at the latest activity that's in this chance survey, then I can go here to the very bottom and look at that activity. So and again, if I knew what I was looking for, and in this case I can see the way that the clerks may be indexing these acreage amounts or indexing these abstract numbers might be different in this county from another. But if I knew I was looking for a 27.5 acre tract, then I could just go in here and just put in 27.5 and say go find every 27.5 that's in the database that has anything to do with oil and gas related records. And then again, as I pointed out, you're going to pick up some of these pieces where it's a 227.5 or but again, you're going to maybe end up with more than you need, but you can kind of sort through those and figure out the ones that you don't need. And again, same way that we researched an individual's name, we can research a party name. So if I know that there's a Chesapeake might be, or let's say, let me just say, maybe Humble was active in this area, so I could just put in HUMB, and you see how less is more. So I didn't put in a lot of information, but I just put in HUMB and then found anything that had a Humble on it, and of course that was the predecessor to Exxon. So again, I wanted to keep this webinar really short today, and what I would encourage you to do is to find your comment or question button on your page, and if you have a question, go ahead and pose your question now, and let's see if I can answer those. So I had a question about not seeing Martin County, and so if you see on the grantor grantee index here, it's pointing to the historical records for Martin County. So and this is what we call our file viewer, and so we don't have Martin County set up as a searchable grantor grantee, and so essentially what we're doing is pointing you over to these earlier grantor grantee indexes that we have that are on the file viewer. So again, these are our handwritten records in a lot of cases. In this case, they happen to be typed or coming off a computer printout. And again, I would have to kind of check on status of Martin County. I know that was one that's on our list of building a title plan in. I don't have a whole lot more questions coming in here, but again, just as a point of review here, if you're looking for the lease check and lease alert, again, they're on the left-hand side. You can, if you wanted to, watch a little video on the lease check, then you can watch this online video that we have. And in fact, this is our Courthouse Academy website. So if you wanted to review any of our videos in the past, you can go here. And in fact, our presentation this morning is being recorded. So if you have people on your staff or people that that needed to hear about this, then certainly you can. We'll be sharing that video with you when we follow up on just a follow-up email. And our marketing person always reminds me to encourage you to follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And on LinkedIn for that matter. And we do have, I will tell you, a really good blog if you're not aware of that. If you go down the bottom left-hand corner and you go to the blog, and you can see along the right-hand side all of these different categories of different things that we've talked about over the years. And so, and then we have one thing, since we have a lot of the landmen on the line today, we do have this tool that we call a Landman Survival Guide, which is free, but it essentially gives you a lot of detail on, as a landman, things to be thinking about in terms of covering your expenses and being more effective with your time, and just a lot of things that we've learned over the years. So one question is, do we have a timeline for when we plan to add counties? It's actually a good question. I would encourage you to just drop an email to us as to what counties you're interested in, particularly if you might be headed toward a county to work there, because there's a lot of times that we have projects that are, let's say, 80% completed, and if we know there's a demand for that county, then we're going to put in some extra effort and go ahead and get that county up and online for our users out there. All right, well, let's wrap this up. I really appreciate everyone being here today. And again, if y'all have any questions whatsoever, just feel free to call me, call Zach White. Again, if you're interested in the Landman Starter, then you would want to call Dwight Dunlap on those. So we'll look forward to visiting with you next time, and everyone go out and have a great day today. Thank you.